Hello everyone. So many aspirants says that answer writing is tough, and yes, it is tough. But remember, in the exam, everyone gets the kora kagas, and the challenge is not just for you, not just for me, even for everyone. So difference क्या आती है? Difference आती है practice. ठीक है? You can write something, and even if you don't know uh, the perfect answer, at least you can start with the content, with the keyword. If you have content, if you have keyword, at least you can start. That's why it's important to develop a habit of expressing your thoughts, whatever you read in current affair or in GS part. Expressing your thoughts in your own words is very very important for that जो भी हमने read करा है. So today let's begin with internal security, and our goal is not just to memorize the fact but to understand the issue, develop our own perspective, and learn how to present them effectively in both for mains examination or even for interview. So it's just a recalling part, because spaced revision is very very important. In the exam hall everyone faces the same blank paper, और वहाँ पे अपने thoughts को put out करना is very difficult for everyone. Even काफ़ी कुछ पढ़ने के बाद भी put out करना in limited words in those 3 pages is difficult for everyone. So let's begin with national security. Let's start. First is element of national security. So element of national security, first, as per Shivan sir's sources, स्टार्ट करते हैं एलिमेंट ऑफ नेशनल सिक्योरिटी. फर्स्ट इज कैसे याद रखेंगे? माई girlfriend forever ready to eat chips. That is military security. Military security basically include both the external security and the internal security, the state and the non-state actors. That is the proxy warfare, grey zone warfare, etc. Now with 4E, that is the energy security, the recent war going on with Iran and USA and those Arab nation, it create instability, and with those country that are basically import dependent nation. Now economic security, ethnic security is equally important. Mob violence and those ethnic violence in Manipur region is equally important. So currently we are not only confined to military, strengthening the military security only. Now the battlefield is changing. So the economic security, environment security, ethnic security is equally important. And cyber security, now CHIPS for cyber security, H is for health security, information security, political security. Then forever ready to eat, ready for resource disaster security, food security. So all these are the element of national security. ठीक है, तो आते हैं कुछ पॉइंट्स पे जो हमने रीड करा. ठीक है, तो हमने रीड करा एलिमेंट ऑफ नेशनल सिक्योरिटी, और हमने काफ़ी हद तक काफ़ी पॉइंट्स कवर करे. दैट इज़ मिलिट्री सिक्योरिटी, इकोनॉमिक सिक्योरिटी, इन्वायरमेंटल सिक्योरिटी, साइबर सिक्योरिटी, हेल्थ सिक्योरिटी, फूड सिक्योरिटी, डिजास्टर सिक्योरिटी. सो ओवरऑल काफ़ी कुछ कवर हो गया हमारा यहाँ पे एलिमेंट ऑफ नेशनल सिक्योरिटी में. ठीक है, हमें भी ऐसे करना है. फर्स्ट रीड करना है, फिर खुद से रिकॉल करने का कोशिश करना है. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट इज़ व्हाट आर द एडिशनल कीवर्ड दैट वी कैन यूज़ इन द एग्जामिनेशन टू एज अ एडिशनल कीवर्ड्स जो कि एज मिले बाकी एस्पिरेंट से. तो फर्स्ट कीवर्ड इज़ PL480. दैट इज़ इंडिया इज़ द इम्पोर्टेड कंट्री और imported the food grain from America at that time during the war between India and Pakistan at 1960s. So at that time we are dependent on America for importing the food grain which is of poor quality as per the PL480 program. So it will lead to green revolution at that time, and that green revolution is mainly confined in the western region, that is Haryana, Punjab region, Haryana region. So it will lead to what? It would lead to resource problem and alienation in the western area, and it will finally lead to Naxalism in the western side. So next is energy security. Energy security, that the war going on in Iran and Israel, Iran and USA, that Strait of Hormuz, that is the strategic location for every country that is resource dependent, that is imported nation India, that imported the oil from other country, from Iran, from Arab nation. Then ethnic security is equally important, that is the ethnic security is equally important, the Manipur Kuki Metis tribe. Next is information warfare, as misinformation, ठीक है. Information security is equally important. Resource security is important. Political security, that is human right, protection of human right, AFSPA. So these additional keywords are important. Health security is pandemic preparedness. All these keywords are additional keywords that we can easily use in our examination. Now come to national security doctrine. National security doctrine, what does it contain? Now, so what is it and what does it contain? And so national security doctrine, so in every doctrine, what does it contain? There is the vision, there is the principle, there must be an objective for any doctrine. So vision, principle, it is the codified vision, principle and objective, and that our armed forces and diplomats had to follow to protect the national interest and sovereignty and integrity of the nation. So what is national security doctrine? National security doctrine is the vision, principle and objective, which is a codified vision, principle and objective that our armed forces and diplomats had to follow to protect the national interest, sovereignty and integrity of the nation. So this is national security doctrine. Now what will it contain? It contain, और some of the element of national security doctrine is very easy, जो मैंने read करा उसे ही थोड़ा explanation form में करते हैं. So what will it contain? First, it will contain the provision, principle and objective of the future forces, that are armed forces, raw, air force, Indian armed forces had to achieve the future goal or the interest for the particular nation. ठीक है. So it contain first the principal, objective and the vision of our armed forces with respect to that particular nation. Next is adversarial calculations. So it means what factor deter them, means when we talk about our enemy, so हमारे एनिमी के क्या क्या फैक्टर्स हैं दैट डिटर देम एंड देयर इंटरेस्ट, उनके इंटरेस्ट क्या है एंड हाउ डू दे रिस्पॉन्ड टू पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन. हमें वो भी इक्वली कैलकुलेट करना होगा. इक्वल कैलकुलेशन भी उसका कैलकुलेशन भी इक्वली इम्पॉर्टेंट है, बिकॉज उनका पर्सपेक्टिव क्या है, व्हाट फैक्टर डिटर देम एंड देयर इंटरेस्ट and how do they respond to a particular situation is equally important for the protection of our sovereignty and integrity of the nation. So now when we come to third point, it is the culture of accountability. So accountability, why accountability is important? Because when we accountability is important because there are Indian forces, armed forces, raw, central and state relation. So cohesion of these central and state relation is equally important. So for that, internal security cannot be treated in isolation, because most contemporary threat are now interconnected. We cannot treat them with isolation, because external economic, technological and geopolitical factors all are interconnected, and therefore the comprehensive and interconnected approach must be followed, must be required for the protection of any nation. Next is modalities. Modalities, when we talk about modality, it means how to allocate this resources, how much to allocate the resources, and what are the responses and readiness of our armed forces, air forces, and interplay of the forces and diplomacy. So this term is important, that how to allocate our resources, responses and readiness of our armed forces, and interplay of forces and diplomacy is equally important. ठीक है. So these are the element of national security doctrine. And why not so far? What are the problem? What are the challenges we face? अभी भी हमारे पास national security doctrine क्यों नहीं है? First is political hesitation, because the delay or reluctance by the political leadership in taking the decisive action due to political, ideological, or maybe a public consideration. So first is political hesitation. Second is lack of proper coordination with armed forces, with center and state relation. And third is India has followed the deliberate non-disclosure policy. So India followed the non-disclosure policy. So first is political hesitation, second is lack of cohesion, and third is deliberate non-disclosure. So these are the national security doctrine, element of national security, that what will it contain and what are the major challenges, why not so far we have a national security doctrine.